Hi everyone.
How's it going?
Welcome to episode number 25.
25. That's
Ninja
the
Chuck.
quarter century episode.
Exactly.
Now we're grown up and we're ready to get real jobs.
My name is Avinash. I'm the digital marketing evangelist for Google.
My name is Nick. I'm a developer advocate for Google Analytics.
Fantastic. We've got an amazing number of questions here.
It's beautiful.
Several hundred people voted, so thank you very much for voting your questions and telling us what you're really concerned about.
All around the world too. We got a good global perspective around here.
My goodness, all over the world.
Let's jump in for the first question for Avinash here. So this is from Shailendra Dubey from Indore. A lot of you big fan.
India,
He always
yes.
asks questions. We'd love to hear from you, Shailendra. So his question is: we have developed a mobile website and implement GATC, the Google Analytics Tracking Code, for mobile websites. The issue is our Google Analytics mobile website is showing as self-referrals. Firebug also shows the value of the referral is our own mobile website. Any help from the community is very helpful for us.
Yeah, so Shailendra, whether you have a mobile-only website or a desktop website, when people see self-referrals, there are a number of issues that could be going on, but two issues that are primary concerns in this case are, the first one is that your site is not completely tagged. So what happens is Nick will search for Avinash, and then he'll see the results on Google, and he'll land on my blog, but the page that he lands on does not have a Google Analytics tag. So he reads that page, and he clicks on a link to go deeper into the website. And when Nick goes ahead and does that, that second page actually has the Google Analytics code, but guess what is a referral that is captured by the Google Analytics code? It's actually the page on which Nick landed, which also happened to be my website. And you can see how you'll see that as a self-referral.
So he might be missing some tracking on certain pages.
Some pages,
okay.
Especially on landing pages. Essentially, just that's where the problem could be. The second one that happens, especially for mobile platforms, is that somebody comes to your, somebody searches or whatever, clicks on a mobile ad, and they come to your main website, and your main website has intelligence enough to detect that this person is coming from a mobile platform, and it does a redirect. And when it does a redirect to your mobile website, m.nick.com as an example, what happens is your main website, your desktop website, becomes a referrer for your master website, because the redirects are maybe not permanent redirects or whatever, so the main referrer is not going through, and then becomes a self-referrer. So those are two scenarios where you see self-referrers in your reports. There are a number of other things as well, but they all tend to be very minor, so check for those two things. If you need more help in detecting what might be happening here, we have a list of Google Analytics authorized consultants. Seek one of those out. We even have them in India now.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll be able to help you diagnose in a more deep way if it is anything beyond these two issues. So hopefully they'll help you out.
Great answer. Another question for you. This one is again from Shailendra.
Okay.
Hello, ninjas. Our 2 to 3 high traffic website shows not provided as a top keyword.
Yes.
About 30% of overall traffic in the organic traffic report.
Mm-hmm.
We are unable to find the keyword. Is there any possibility to find these keywords or any future plans to show these keywords?
So, so the change that Shailendra is referring to is that starting in the middle of October, when somebody was logged into Google and did a search on google.com, if that session was logged in, it automatically went from HTTP to HTTPS, and that if the person clicks on those links to come to your website from an HTTPS session, the referral keyword would not show up in your report. Whether you use Google Analytics or Omniture, Web Trends, it doesn't matter what tool you use. It would show up in a bucket called not provided. So there are two things that I wanted to recommend. First is actually just yesterday we launched a revamped version of Webmaster Tools from Google. And if you go into your Webmaster Tools account, we have just expanded massively the keywords that you see there, for which your website shows up as a result when people are searching. So you're now actually, in a more expanded way, able to see both the impressions and the clicks inside Webmaster Tools. So use that as one of your newest resources in order to understand keywords. Secondarily, I had written a blog post also in November where I sort of lay out how I end up analyzing not provided data. And in the show notes, we'll link to it. We'll link to that blog post. It provides a series of steps you can undertake to try and understand a little better what's going on in there. So between those two resources, you should have incrementally more information in order to figure out what is going on.
Great answer.
We have a question for you, Nick. It's from Darren in Southern California, sunny Southern California.
Ooh.
And Darren asks, hi, Nick and Avinash. Is it possible to report when the same user completes 2 events in the same session or within a few days? As an example, day 1 views a video, day 2 comes back again, submits a form. Would visitor level custom variables with a short cookie timeout work? Thanks. This is a fairly complex issue here.
Right, and I think the basis of the problem is what he wants to be able to do is some sort of pathing or get some sort of completion rate within a session or across sessions. So at this time, Google Analytics doesn't provide pathing analysis. They have some tools, but nothing that's very flexible. And I think the easiest way to do this is to use some sort of cookies on your own site. So as a visitor comes to your site, you use a cookie to say they started in a particular event. And later on, when they complete the event, you check to see if the cookie exists. And at those times, you send different events. You can say, yes, the person hasn't completed it. So it's to do this kind of path or task completion using your own cookies. And so that might be a little bit complex to set up for some people.
Yeah.
So again, we have these certified professionals, Google Analytics certified professionals. Definitely reach out to them. They could easily set this up for you guys.
Exactly.
Great. Good question. Now another question for you. This is from Alexandros Thessaloniki in Greece.
Wow.
All the way in Greece. We haven't had a Greek question in a while.
I know.
In the social reports, which website does Google Analytics view as social media? Is there a list? For example, are blogs on Blogger and WordPress regarded as social media? Good question.
It's an embarrassing question.
A little bit, yeah.
We should have had this page out for a while. Okay, there are several hundred websites that have been extensively researched by the Google Analytics team that have been tagged as social. The sites that you mentioned, Blogger, WordPress, they are indeed considered social, as are Delicious and Reddit and Dig, etc., etc. We have forwarded your request to our team that does documentation, and eminently we will be publishing the entire list in the analytics help area, so please wait for that. Meanwhile, one of the things I have found of discovering what sites Google considers social is I just go into my social reports and look at the referrals that are categorized as social, and it starts to give me a better feel. Of course, for me to know that which sites are considered social, I would have to receive at least 1 click.
Yeah.
So
you're kind of a social guy, so you get a lot of social traffic. You know, Alexandros might be like up and coming social guy. He might not have that whole list, so it's a little bit hard today.
So start look at what data you're getting. It'll give you a feel for the types of site Google Analytics considers to be social. Meanwhile, we are definitely going to escalate your request and publish a list so it's much more clear.
As he becomes more socially engaged, he'll get more and more visibility, right? It's a bad answer.
It's very
Fair
true.
enough.
A question for you from Lothari in New York. And his question is, can you clarify what happens when Google Analytics account hits more than 10 million server calls a month? Are calls discarded at analysis time when the cap is reached? Is the cap lifted or increased if a Google Analytics account is linked to an active AdWords account? So it's actually a concern we hear from time to time.
I mean, the most technical answer is when you hit over 10 million server calls, the server starts to smoke. And then we have to call the fire team to come in. No.
Our data center starts to fume a little bit. No.
Turn off the internet. Turn off the pipes. Close the pipes. Okay. No, so all the data you send to us, Google Analytics always collects.
Yes.
We don't stop collecting. It's always a collecting, right? The pipes are never clogged. It's just always collecting.
Yes. And I can vouch for that. We have some sites that send us more than 1 billion hits a day. Every day.
It's amazing.
So data gets collected.
So data is always collected. Data gets always processed. And when you start sending us too much data, sampling starts kicking in more and more.
At the reporting time.
At the reporting time, yeah. And now if you're sending us too much data, someone from our team will reach out to you and call you and ask you to set some sampling. But for the most part, like, we're always going to be collecting the data and processing it.
Yes, 100% of your data gets collected, 100% of it gets processed. When you run the reports and the reports get created on your behalf, we start to see sampling. And then we'll call you or we'll reach out to you before we do any change. Nothing will get stopped in terms of collecting data. Nothing. without somebody from Google being in touch with you first. It's very
yeah.
important.
And to put this in perspective, there's other times when you have to work with other solutions. I think you have to provision new servers. You have to call them a month in advance.
Correct.
Sometimes you don't know if something is going to go viral, and that's what's nice about analytics. You can just start sending us data.
Yes.
We'll always process it. So it's always really flexible. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
A question for you from Scott in Cleveland, Ohio. Hey Ninjas, when I'm on a page on my site and click on a link that goes to another page on my site which opens up in a new window, does that path show up in the navigation summary report in Google Analytics, or does it count as an entrance? Thanks for your help. This is a simple answer.
Yes, sort of. So all the navigation summary reports work on the session level.
Correct.
So as long as the person's within the same session, it'll show up as going from page A to page B, regardless of how they got to page B, as long as it's in the same session.
Even if it's open in a new tab.
If it's in a different session, it'll look like as an entrance. And so the question is, how are sessions maintained? Well, today we use cookies, and cookies are tied to the domain that sets them. So in the short answer is, if the same domain, if they're opening a window for the same domain, generally that'll be the same session, and they'll be considered, you'll show up from page A to B, regardless if it's in the window.
Exactly. No, that's a wonderful answer.
Great. Question for you from Dave in Boulder, Colorado. If a user arrives at a page where they can convert to more than one goal, like goal 1 and goal 2, how is it that reflected in each goal funnel? Is there a way to segment the true lost users from a funnel from lost users who converted to a different goal?
Yeah, so two quick answers. The very first one, it's important to know that each goal funnel is independent of the other funnels. So when you set up a goal at the very bottom part of the page in the admin area, you have a capacity to sort of lay out your funnel and structure it. And I think you have 20 pages that you can do that. And that is, so the funnel that you create in that admin area is exactly how Google Analytics is going to compute it and create it and show it to you. So and it is independent of goal number 2, goal number 3, goal number 5 that you have. It's just going to show you the user flow. To the second part of your question about segmentation, you can't segment funnels in Google Analytics at the moment. And my favorite tool is created by one of our Google Analytics authorized consultants. And there's a tool called PadiTrack, P-A-D-I-T-R-A-C-K. If you just go to their website, all you do is connect your Google Analytics profile to PadiTrack, and through the magic of API, magic, you will be able to create funnels inside PadiTrack. And the funnel creation process is actually better than what it is in Google Analytics, I have to say, with error checking everything else built in already for you. Additionally, all your standard segments inside Google Analytics and your custom segments that you've created in Google Analytics are actually also pulled into PadiTrack. So you can actually see real segmented funnels inside the tool. So for the second part of your question, I would encourage you to use PadiTrack. It's free. That's the best price in the world.
Sweet.
We have a question for you, Nick, from the Cake Scraps in upstate New York.
Read the question
exactly
how it was written.
Oh, I know. How's it going? Good. That's very New York-wide.
Yeah, he's like, you're doing good. We'll just tell you how you're doing. Let's get to the question.
Here's the question. Why does Google Analytics sample reports in a profile? Oh, this is a great question.
This is a good one?
It's a good one. Why does Google Analytics sample reports in a profile that contains, say, only paid traffic with 80,000 page views and 50,000 visitors? The master profile does contain much, much, much more, but the report is generated just using 7,000 visits. Very nice question.
Good question. So in Google Analytics, sampling kicks in at 500,000 sessions that you're processing. Correct. So 500,000 sessions in the date range will start to put sampling there. And so what happens also is the sampling is applied to the web property level, and not necessarily the profile level. So if you're collecting a lot of data at this web property level, and you have a master profile, and let's say within the date range it's 750,000 sessions. Yeah. Even if you create another profile that's maybe filtering on the traffic that has less data, the sampling is applied to the web property data. So it's all of the data that's being collected.
And it's because we have to process all the data and to find the answers that you're looking for in the reports we have.
Yeah, and so this was a change maybe introduced a year and a half ago where it used to be at the profile level and you could use filters, but since then it's changed to the web property level. So it's all the data that's collected for that UA number that the sampling happens at.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Thank you, Nick.
This is a question from Tushar in Kuala Lumpur.
Wow. Hello.
We use a lot of cross-selling of different products which are eventually being sold on different websites. and aren't able to attribute conversion to the real source. Is there a way to track all main domains with accurate attribution to one another?
Yeah, so this is cross-domain and subdomain tracking is actually quite tricky, and I have to say right off the bat that you probably want to work with a Google Analytics authorized consultant who will help you to evaluate all the pros and cons. So I want to say that because you'll flail about for too long in order to figure out an answer.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, the thing that we need, so remember, Omniture, WebTrends, Google Analytics, they work exactly the same way. In order for them to show you analysis of performance, they need to collect data. So if somebody comes to your website, abc.com, and then they go to a website, z.com, where the cart is when you process all the things, and maybe after that they come back to your website. If you have the ability to tag z.com, and you can put your same Google Analytics tag over there, then of course all the data can be treated as a holistic one piece, and you can do multi-channel funnels, or you can do all kinds of attribution analysis on the data if you want. But if z.com, your shopping cart checkout process does not allow you to put a tag, well, you're kind of lost. You don't have any data. If you don't have any data, you got nothing. In this case, one of the things you'll do is on my blog, for example, when you go to a page, on the right-hand nav, you'll see a link for Amazon for my 2 books. And so what you'll notice is when you click on that link to go to Amazon, which is basically my cart, you're going to buy it over there, I actually capture that click as an event, and I store it inside Google Analytics. And what I'm able to say is, I don't know everybody who's converted there, but I've captured the fact that somebody went over there to buy my book, and now I can do multi-channel funnel analysis, all kinds of things, because I have a goal clearly identified. And I'm capturing that outbound click away from my blog. Secondarily, what I do is, of course, I have an Amazon affiliate account, so I'm able to download all my product sales conversion data from there, and I'm able to understand of the 100 clicks that left my website, my conversion rate is 6.5%, which is a real number. And then I mix those 2 data together to just be better about understanding how many of those clicks are converting. So these are 2 scenarios that I've outlined. Similarly, Google Analytics has a way in which if you use PayPal, there's a way to implement things through so something comes back to you and you understand what happened or somebody who's converting away from your domain. So these are some small cluster of ideas that will hopefully give you a chance to understand what possibilities exist. But work with a Google Analytics authorized consultant who will really help you evaluate your opportunities and implement your tagging in a way that you'll be able to do this analysis.
Great.
Thank you. Another question for you, Nick, from New York again. And this is a good one. I like this. It says, are you looking at the referring domain only for identifying traffic in the new social reports? Can, quote, social links be tagged with UTM_medium equals social in order to also track clicks that are coming from a native Facebook, Google Plus, Twitter mobile applications? It's an interesting question, Tim.
Right, so we have 2 reports in analytics. We have social data reports, and then we have just the all traffic reports.
Yes.
And so by default, we described earlier, there is a list of referrals that we'll look at that will populate the data in the social data section of the reports. Now, for other social networks that you might want to explicitly call out and define those in the actual all traffic reports, you can use UTM campaign parameters. But when you use those campaign parameters, they don't automatically appear in the social reports. They only stay in those all traffic sources reports. So yes, you can definitely call them out, but they'll only appear in that one section of the reporting.
There you go.
Source, the medium, the campaign stuff.
Another question for you, Nick, from Arpit Srivastava in Gurgaon, in India. And his question is, I've created an advanced segment including landing page containing abc.com/product1. So I guess it's a directory that needs tagged.
A directory, okay.
And on applying this segment to the content drill down report, which is our report for the directories, I can see pages outside of product1 directory. What does this mean? Does it mean there's a problem with Google Analytics tagging or any illogical application?
Right, good question. So this is, the landing page happens as the first page view somebody sees on the actual session. And advanced segments filter on sessions. So what you're doing is when you apply an advanced segment for a landing page, you're saying, give me all the sessions that started with somebody going to a particular page. Now, that's all that advanced segment is doing. When you apply that then to a report, for example, the content drill down, you're saying, for this set of sessions that I've defined, give me all the content, give me the normal content drill downs, but only for that subset of sessions. So if a person landed on /product1 and then went to /product2, that would totally happen. That would be totally okay in the
Yes,
report.
yes.
So there are different metrics. The landing page and the normal page are actually different dimensions in the product.
There you go. So the tool is doing exactly what it's supposed
It's
to be
doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I was using this because what we wanted to do is get some pathing. Like on our content site, we have a section for tracking code, and then we have reporting. And so I wanted to see for how many people who came to the tracking code later then went to the reporting. Because I wanted to kind of get some cross-site
Yes, yes,
navigational
yes, yes,
analysis.
yes.
And it turns out in a particular session, when you come to our tracking information, nobody looks at the reporting API and vice versa. So that helped us get some insight into behavior and how we want to optimize our
And
site.
then you can go back and update
Yeah.
the UI of
So this actually
yeah.
behavior was very useful for us in analyzing our traffic patterns.
There you go. So we use Google Analytics.
Well, some of us do, yeah. We don't just sit up here and talk about it. So a question for you, Avinash. This is for Martin Verstappen in Breda, Netherlands. Oh, I did terrible. How did it?
That's right.
Hi, ninjas. Hello. I've been struggling to understand the difference between visitors and unique visitors. How can unique visitors be higher than visitors in my custom report? Could you elaborate on how each metric is calculated?
So for the purpose of this video, I wanted to say that you should ignore the visitor metric and you should only use the unique visitor metric because it is, in many ways, they use different logics and et cetera, but in many ways, with what an analyst is trying to analyze, that intent is most accurately captured by the unique visitor metric. So if you have unique visitor, if you want to analyze behavior of people on your website, use the unique visitor metric, ignore the visitor metric. So that's my overall advice to you.
It's specific to custom reports.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And unique visitors is a metric that's available only in custom reports.
Yes.
So use that as a metric. Ignore visitor. But Martin, we have a very special extra gift for you. Thanks to your request, my good friend Nick is going to write a very special Google Plus blog post tomorrow. And he's going to outline some of the differences and some of the more technical nuances that lend themselves to a paper more than a video. And what we are going to do is we're going to link to the show notes of this video. We're going to link to Nick's blog post. So if you really want to dive really deep into this and understand what's going on, go to our blog where this video is hosted and find the link and you'll learn a lot more. So Nick, you've got some action items for today.
A little bit of action items, but I think it'll be good. I get a lot of questions on this, and yeah, it'll be good to just clarify it for once and for all.
And now we have a question all the way from Australia, Melbourne, from Joanne. And Nick, she's asking, oh, I know you're excited about this, Nick. When will the mobile SDKs for Google Analytics support non-interactive event tracking?
Great question. So, as it happens,
You don't have an answer, but something better.
something even better. We've been rethinking the whole way that we're doing mobile tracking. for
Mobile
Google
app,
Analytics.
mobile web, mobile
Everything.
life, mobile shirts.
Yeah, mobile shirts. So we've been rethinking how we want to do mobile tracking in Google Analytics. Every year we have a huge developer show. It's called Google I/O. And this year we're going to be making some big announcements around mobile tracking in Google Analytics at Google I/O. So while I don't want to give you any details now, stay tuned. And I think you'll be pretty impressed with what we have lined up for that.
Exactly.
So a little sneak peek of something big is coming, but we're not going to tell you exactly what it
Hold
is.
on, I can't wait.
Can't wait! It's going to be pretty exciting, actually. Yeah, this is going to be huge.
We've got a question from April in Austin for you, Nick.
Okay.
And she has a very simple question. Which many of our ninja wannabes might be wondering. What is the difference between product revenue and revenue in Google Analytics? That's
It's a really good question.
Yeah.
Actually, it's confusing because the titles of these metrics are quite nondescriptive.
similar,
What's
yeah.
revenue?
Yeah.
So product revenue. So imagine, let's think of a shopping cart, and I'm going to go to Macy's.com. I'm going to buy lingerie for my girlfriend. And I'm going to buy underwear for myself. So I have two products that I've purchased. The product revenue is the cost of the lingerie, right?
Yes.
And the cost of the underwear.
Yes.
But the actual revenue is the total value of all the items in my shopping cart basket. So it's all the items in the basket. And now revenue is just the value that you send us in the track transaction value, the total revenue for the transaction. Whereas the individual product revenue is the total of the number of items times the quantity, the item price.
Yes.
And so we have each of the values documented. So they're actually different metrics that we're actually reporting.
And one of the differences, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, is that When we do revenue, what about shipping and tax? Is that included in revenue but not in product revenue?
So the product revenue includes the actual number of items.
Correct. So it was $10 for the underwear and 10 underwear, so that would be $100.
That's $100.
Correct.
And that's what we'll show you for product revenue, right?
Yes.
Then for the total transaction, it's whatever value you send to us.
Okay,
so we don't include any of the other things. It's just whatever value, because the idea is the total is going to already included on your shopping cart.
Correct.
You're already going to have all that included in your total. So when you give us that value, you don't have to re-add it. You've already added it.
Correct.
It's the total. We assume that you've already calculated that.
Okay, perfect.
It's a little complicated, but yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, and the final question, I really like this question. This is great for you. This is a very Avinash question. I'm glad we have you here today. This is from Eric in Toronto, Ontario. What are some tactics that analytics consultants can use to help their clients find the economic value of a goal on the website, other than looking at an offline alternative?
And so this is a great question, Eric. I mean, I'm a huge fan of tracking macro and micro conversions.
Yeah.
And where economic value particularly comes into play is trying to understand what is the value of our micro conversions. And so I have a blog post that I've written with 8 different strategies that you can use to compute the economic value of your micro conversions. And we'll add a link to that blog post in the show notes. So check out the blog post that has this video on our blog, analytics.blogspot.com. Look for Web Analytics TV number 25 and you'll find that. But some of amongst my favorite metrics is, I was working with a retailer. Let's use Macy's as an example.
Yeah.
So Macy's has 2 micro conversions that are very important to them. One is you go to the site and you don't buy anything, but you submit an email address. And that email address allows Macy's to now send you marketing promotions periodically over time. So one way to compute economic value of an email address that was received and recorded in Google Analytics as a successful goal is to take all the email addresses that you collected in January, and now it's April, okay, so 90 days later. So take all the email addresses that you collected in January and take the email promotions that were received by those people to whom that you had collected email addresses for, compute the number of conversions that you received. So now you know that you received 100 email addresses, you send them an email blast, and you know that you made $100,000 as a result of that. And now you are able to value the value of every single email address you receive because you've got a revenue number. You just have to wait a little bit to send them an email promotion, collect the conversion data, and map it back. Another very simple one to use is that you would sign up to get a Macy's catalog. Catalog is a great business, very profitable for most retailers. And what they will do in that case is, Macy's is a finance department that knows the customer lifetime value of every catalog that goes out, every single one. So record the fact that somebody ordered a catalog on the web, take the value from the finance department for the lifetime value, apply it as a goal value inside Google Analytics, and boom, now you've got an economic value for every catalog request that you've received. Later, over time, in your back-end system, in your core company data warehousing system, you can segment over time and see if the customer lifetime value for digital is lower or if the customer lifetime value of non-digital catalog requests is higher. Actually, digital often turns out to be higher because people proactively come to the site and ask for your catalog rather than you spamming the entire world with catalogs. So these are 2 ways in which you can compute economic value for your micro conversions. We'll link to the blog post that has even more ideas. I've got 8 in total. And that blog post, please check that out and use those bits of guidance to compute the economic value for what your website is adding to your online and offline existence. So that's just a great question, Eric. So Nick, I propose that we give Eric the ninja of the episode.
That's like it. Yeah, that was a good question.
So Eric, that was a great question, and so you win the Ninja of the Episode award, which means you get a signed copy of my book, Web Analytics 2.0. My email address is pretty easy to find, so find my email address, email me your postal address, and we'll send a signed copy of the book to Toronto, and you'll have it. So thank you very much. So that's episode 25. Follow the links in our show notes to go to our question Q&A website where you can submit your own questions. You can rate on other people's questions. And we look forward to answering your questions in episode number 26. Thank you very much.